drives on both towers, there's enough room to sort of replicate this whole Perforce workflow without Perforce, right? So the thing we're going to do is we're going to take the Unreal Engine project and replicate it over, right? To, or at least pull the copy off the hard drive and put it here where we can work with it, right? So I've got an instance of it here. And what I want to do is I want to make sure, just having a quick look here because there's the MP4 for the trailer, there's season 1 trailers. Yeah, so I want to pop that in there. So I've got a SO1A reference and 420. Okay, so here's what we got. Let me run you guys through it. So this is the hard drive downstairs, my D drive. This is the hardware up here, the hard drive up here, the D drive. So why I'm doing this, instead of going across to one network drive, one LAN location, is that my original project is stored on the D drive. And I've had to call it F because there is a D drive here already, right? So if we're going to spam out the project, we need to make sure that the naming is identical right down to the drive letter mapping. So this computer has to have our project on the D drive. The downstairs computer has to have the project on the D drive, right? Now I'm opening up another window where I've got RAID drive accessing, or the RAID drive, yeah, that's accessing my cloud drive where we currently have our project data stored and giving us nightmares in terms of latency. Now, while that's loading up, I'm also going to grab free file sync, and I should have had this on the desktop. Let's open the file location, right? And I'm just gonna right click on this bad boy and then send it to the desktop. And we should be okay. That's the other thing. I got to look up why there's such a delay on the right-click functionality inside of Windows. There we go. All I want to do is I want to send you to the desktop. That's it. There's a lot of things that I do in terms of computing that I have very little patience for. Okay, so it's struggling to reach my cloud drive because I have a copy that I've loaded in from the cloud drive that I'm currently saving. So it's streaming through that particular channel and probably taking up all the bandwidth at the moment. That's why it's struggling to give me an overview of the folders I have on my cloud drive. I wonder, I'm going to use this opportunity to also test the screen sketch, although I don't think this was the utility that I originally wanted. No, this isn't the utility I wanted, right? What I wanted was, there was something I thought I'd installed that allowed me to draw directly onto the screen. Oh, that's good enough. This will be good enough for now, right? So here we have and I can't draw on it. Oh, there it is. It's drawing. It's just very, very faint. Let's try this one instead, right? Okay, so here we've got, this is the D drive on my server, right? And then what the hell happened? Let me, what is this? Oh yeah, free file sync, right? Let's try this again. Okay, so again, this is my server, and this is my artist's workstation, right? And this is my cloud. right? So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the cloud drive and I'm going to sync that here on the D drive, sync it also here on the D drive, and then that way we have a that way we can just work back and forth and then sync to the cloud drive in the evening where latency doesn't matter so much, right? So that's the plan, right? So to help facilitate this, what I want to do is make sure that I have the correct folder naming convention, right? So in the F drive here, oh yeah, it's going to take forever as I drill down into the folders. Well, let's come down here. Oof. Okay. So we want to make sure, I'm just going to double check that that's at the root. So at the root, we have a folder called TV. We don't have that here. So I'm going to pop in here. And we'll create a new folder. Oh, yowza. It is taking a long time. Look at that. It's like I'm working in the old Pentium days. Not even 486. But, you know, that dates me. Okay. So TV folder. Next one down the line should be animation, right? Oh man, this is crazy. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to create a new folder called animation. Now I do have a little bit of a misgiving, right? Because this is a stopgap measure. At some point, I have to replicate this as a Perforce depot, then perhaps delete these copies and then recheck them out. So, yeah, but, you know, this will get us through, I think, right? So inside here, yeah, I believe I did set it up previously, but this is the instance that's missing the folder. Hyper S01. I want to make sure that, again, that all the naming conventions are correct. And we've got that in there. This folder, I know, is not empty because we've got the release folders are here. Oh, perhaps it is empty. Now this will be a bit tricky. All right, so what I probably want to do, so that's the downstairs computer. I can do that afterwards. So let us Hyper S01. I'm probably gonna have to go Hyper S01, but sync to that folder. There's our development folder for it. You sure there's nothing in there? Okay. Right. I'm just double checking the size of that folder, make sure there's nothing in there. But I'm going to have to, this might change it. Well, I was going to say this is going to change some naming conventions, but I think we're still early days. So this should be okay. Let's check the properties on the folder. You know what? Just to be on the safe side, I want to make sure, I'll probably replicate that folder instead, right? I think what I was doing here was I was trying to rename it. lose that naming convention though. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So that's my LAN downstairs. I can update that later. So let's just try and replicate this whole folder. Oh, I know what I needed to do. Okay. So I'm going to create this folder. I'm going to replicate it, right? So we've got that locally downstairs. I think this happened because back in the day when I set this up, I had that from an old naming structure I used, but I didn't like it. And then so on my main computer here, I ended up adopting the newer naming convention back in Unreal Engine 4.2.1 days. So way a long time ago. Okay, so now I'm going to fire up Free File Sync, right? The little things that you run into that pose the most vexing kind of problems. All right, so Free File Sync is going to fire up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sync that folder with that folder. So I have a copy on the local here, right? So I'm going to cancel this guy. Let's bring in Free File Sync. Right? So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to navigate to the cloud drive. And I only ever use Free File Sync to move files in one direction, right? It just makes it simpler and safer. So I'm going to select that folder on my cloud drive, right? And I'll show you. I'm going to go in the middle here. My synchronization, I only ever set to update because the other functionalities we'll try to replicate one side of Free File Sync with another, including file deletions, right? And you don't want anything, you don't want any automated process to delete anything, right? You want to be in full control of deletions. At least that's my philosophy. So I'm going to pop that onto my D drive under TV, under animation, under HyperCG, right? So I'm going to select that folder. So we're going from TV animation HyperCG to TV animation HyperCG. Again, the directory structures need to be the same. We have an issue with the W letter, but I'm hoping that we're early enough that it won't be too bad. Now I'm doing this now, and I'm changing my mind again. Because it is still early days, I think the best thing to do is just to migrate into the new naming convention, right? And then that way, yeah, let's get everything kind of sitting in the proper naming convention. So all the files inside HyperCG, they will kind of move over. And inside Hyper SO1, it should create a dev folder and a release folder for me inside of here, right? We see the sync FFS, that's Free File Sync lock. It's just getting ready to move all the files over, right? So that's that. Once that's fired up, that means all of those cloud files will be synced over to this PC. So I'm going to minimize these Explorer windows. Let's take a look at where our multi-user... Yeah, check that out. Unreal is still non-responsive. I can't carry that forward. It's just impossible, right? So basically, I'll run this through real quick again and let you guys go. So here on the server PC, right? When I sync in the release folder, it should not interfere, right? So if I come here and grab this release folder, it's going to sync in here, right? But because the folders are named differently, it's not going to overwrite any of this. And I'm hoping in the trailers folder, it just merges in the new trailer data, right? Yeah, it will. This will just merge in and it'll sit on top of that. Everything will be fine, right? And then that way I've moved it out of this older file naming convention to the new one. I might have to fix a few broken links along the way. That's cool. So basically, at the beginning of your day, we would free file sync things from the cloud to your local, and then work away. And at the end of the day, free file sync it back, right? Same with the artist workstation. Start of the day, free file sync everything over, and then at the end of the day, free file sync it back. Now, we will be able to connect in terms of our Unreal instances, but the one big unknown is whether or not, without Perforce, we'll be able to kind of work independently in the same session, right? Because what ends up happening is when you add an asset into your localized version of Unreal, it'll ask you, do you want to persist these changes? Do you want to commit them to Perforce? We're not using Perforce. So I don't know what that will do in terms of the network connectivity between the two machines, but hey, we'll find out. Okay, so I will leave that to run in the background. Free file sync, I tell you guys, it's an awesome tool. I've been using it for years and it works really, really well. Okay, so we'll get the project synced up. We'll try and get everything on track so we're working locally, and then we'll pick it up from there. Okay, I will talk to you guys in a few hours, I think.